One of our most important roles as citizen science project leaders is to show day after day that everyday people can learn and do science, making contributions that help advance our understanding of the universe. To be successful in recruiting people to participate in our programs, we have to break down the stereotypes of science being done by isolated geniuses. We wouldn't be able to have citizen science projects if we hadn't sorted how to do that to at least some degree. The stories we tell inspire people to join our projects. We see in our data the folks who want to contribute and who will click and observe for years, content to know they're making science possible. We also find there are community leaders engaging in both science and in facilitating conversations and communications in our forums. With these core groups, we end up with communities that in many ways reflect professional science communities. But can we do better? Professionally, astronomy is male-dominated, white-dominated, and we need safe places and support groups for members of our LGBTQ community and people of faith. If we do our job right, our communities in citizen science won't reflect our profession, but be a better version of the diverse society we live in. This is not to say we can be a true reflection of society. My programs aren't suitable for the blind, and they require people to have computers, free time, and the ability to learn certain needed tasks. These are limits. This brings us to lesson 1. Decide who you want to be as a community. At CosmoQuest, we started by targeting the science adjacent, sci-fi lovers and podcast listeners. From there, we say, we will tolerate no hate. This is a place where people are accepted without regard to their color, culture, religion, or lack of religion, their education level, their wealth, or their caste. We do not care who you love, but only that you find love in this world. We believe that everyone can do great things, and we welcome everyone to be part of us doing great things. When we started our program, we drew our audience from the Astronomy Cast podcast audience, and we started out primarily male, white, educated, and affluent. This was not our goal, so we have worked to change as we grow. This required us to both listen on platforms like Twitter when people talk about why they don't feel welcome in the sciences, and it required us to learn. It also requires us to ask people we do have who aren't the generic affluent white male science lover why they have joined us and why they stay. This is an iterative process. People in society are constantly evolving, and it is a process we can never call good enough. When you decide who you want to be, you should strive to reflect that from top to bottom. This meant asking, 1, what is necessary to create a work environment that is welcoming and supportive of a diverse staff? 2, are we communicating in ways that are as inclusive as possible? And 3, does our community provide support to people such that we are providing a place that provides equity rather than just equality? To facilitate a diverse staff, we look to Brian Gainsler's efforts at the University of Sydney and at Dunlap Institute. All paid positions have allowed part-time and flexible hours. We make it clear that we will schedule meetings around family obligations and make it a goal that everyone is cross-trained so folks can take time off without work piling up behind them. We also approach our volunteers from a position of trust, assuming people who want to help might make mistakes, but can be trusted just as much as our staff and may have more experience or expertise than we could afford to hire on academic budgets. Today, our core team is made of majority women, and quite by accident, we've landed in a place where we are all some combination of disabled, queer, and/or people of faith. We are the people who aren't majority in science, and we are the leaders of a community who seeks to reflect society instead of science. No group starts as actually diverse. It's a process. Lesson 2. Find the kinds of people you want to see in your community who aren't already there. Listen to them and learn what they want, need, and dislike. Then change what you need to change. Creating a place of diversity has required the entire team struggling together to find ways to present ourselves that leave spaces for everyone to feel included in our messaging. And this takes many forms. For instance, we default to the pronouns they, them until we are told to use something else. We work to provide transcripts of all our recordings and to make content available in ways that can be accessed with screen readers and on multiple devices. We also make efforts to admit our own differences, struggles, and failings so people see role models. And if not role models, at least space for their differences to exist alongside our differences. This care is carried all the way through to how we word surveys. When we ask, "What's your gender?" it's not multi-choice. After talking through how people want these questions to appear, we now give people a blank space to answer. This makes data analysis harder, but leaves space for humans to be true to themselves. In a recent marketing survey, we found that the majority of the community is still male at about the 70% level and uncomfortably white. That said, more people identified as having a disability than is typical of the U.S. population. LGBTQ roughly tracks with the population. And our community includes many self-identifying conservative religious folks who coexist in a community with no clear majority between atheists, agnostics, and people of faith. This was a non-scientific study used to understand how to improve our programs. We are seeking funding for more in-depth research. Of particular interest, we want to explore how the digital divide affects engagement with minorities and how the demands of household and children, the so-called second shift, impact the ability of women to participate in citizen science and other volunteer activities. Lesson 3. You need to set down community guidelines that are enforced with room for forgiveness and honest mistakes. Part of creating rules is asking what is required to make the people we want to welcome feel comfortable. We have forbidden references to weapons or violence, even Marvin the Martian. Sometimes this takes forms I never quite imagined. Recognizing that people are more than the science they do, our discussion server has channels to share photos of nature and animals, and all spiders and snakes are hidden behind spoiler tags. It's a small thing, but it matters. We do what we can to create a community focused on helping and contributing science. This includes people live streaming their citizen science efforts and sharing their pain and triumph, and it has matured in these COVID times into people supporting each other in voice chats. And when folks need a break, we even created a place to play games, tell stories, and just be humans. We have adopted a spirit of aggressive acceptance and compassion and are becoming who we want to be. I hope our lessons will help you build the long-lasting, healthy, and growing community that you want to see.